Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis, a podcast dedicated to the Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell case. Join us as we seek the truth and travel the long road to justice. Hi, everybody. It's Thursday. It's about 4:30 where we are, and well, again, it's been a while.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah,
Life.
you definitely. Me and Fruit Loop are the kind of friends that we can be together like pretty much every day for months, and then all of a sudden it just drops off, and like there's no explanation either way, and we're cool with that.
Yeah. I mean, we text and stuff, but
Right. But, before you went on your mission trip, like you were here 8 hours a day,
yeah.
pretty much every day. And it was fun and all. But like when you were gone, I did like my
He was like,
decluttering and,
yeah.
just focused on a lot of stuff. And then you got back and we did that one podcast. And then I got the kitten, which has been time consuming.
Dude.
Oh my gosh.
It's like you got a newborn.
Oh yeah. And bless his heart, we named him Sherlock, and he had some health issues that I wasn't aware of when we picked him out, and I'm glad we got him because we've got him straightened out. But man, 4 trips to the vet, a lot of money, a lot of up every 3 hours giving antibiotics, pain meds, whatever. And so
He's good now, though.
he's good. He's finally, like the last 2 days, acting like a kitten, which means I've got little scratch marks on me. So, but yeah. So, what have you been doing? Just family stuff too?
Yeah, just a little this, a little that. Getting back in the swing of things. We were decluttering as well.
Yeah.
I'm like a book collector, so I have a lot of books, and I had to clean out an office. So I have in my corner of my house is like 10 milk boxes.
Oh gosh.
From Ingles, full of books. So I've been kind of getting rid of some of those. So,
Well, aren't you smart?
oh yeah,
So there hadn't been any news really. There's been some specials that have aired about the case. Nancy Grace, we have 48 hours. Court TV did, I think, an hour-long thing about the case. So for the most part, we're going to go through that stuff today, and just talk about what's happened.
yeah. It's been crickets.
It's been super quiet. As you all know, there's been no word from prosecutors or anybody, lawyers. I check the website every day, probably 3-4 times a day, just to see if there's any new filings, but nothing so far. We're coming up on the 4 days. 4 days from now is the anniversary of when Tammy Daybell died, which was the 19th.
Yep.
So we're starting to come full circle with the year anniversary. I don't really count Alex because I don't care about Alex, but
Yeah.
all the innocent ones, we're starting to hit that 1 year, and just no charges, no upgraded charges, no nothing.
Yep. It's coming, but it's just a slow process.
Yeah, I just feel like we've said this for 2 months, but I feel like it's got to be soon. I mean, we've got on the 29th of this month, we have the motion to dismiss, and then we have the objection to the joinder right after that one.
Yeah.
So I just feel like we still don't know the law of, can they try them on these charges and then, upgrade to murder at some other point. And so we don't know. So I just assume that it's got to be soon if they're going to come for the kids, and maybe not for Tammy, but these charges relate to the kids.
Yeah. And I know on the Nancy Grace thing, it said the charges with Charles's death could possibly be in December of this year. So
That'd be a nice little early Christmas gift for his kids and
Yeah.
Miss Wheeler and everybody who loved him.
yep, Yep.
So start getting some resolution, at least not resolution, but at least some charges on the, on the docket. And,
yeah, major charges.
oh yeah, these are not something that she'll get 10 years for. These
Yeah.
are life.
Yeah,
So other than that, next month on the 24th we have the change of venue, and then on December the 8th we have the pretrial. So there are some things coming. I think our podcast will pick back up definitely towards the end of the month.
yeah. Because I mean, we talked about it. We didn't want to keep bringing up old stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, my brain, you guys know how my brain works. And so you throw in a kitten and 3 kids homeschooling and like everything else. And I'm fresh out of clever.
I just want to say I would not want to be a kid in school right now with all this stuff.
I know. My kids are
I
so
feel bad
miserable.
for them.
They're so miserable, and they're doing the best they can, but either side that you fall on with what you think is best, right now there's just no good option.
Yeah. I
You
think
know.
elementary here went back 5 days, right?
They're going to 5 days. Was it all of elementary, or was it only up to like a certain grade though?
I just saw them say elementary. So
Maybe.
but I know middle and high they're still doing just do the 2 days a week.
Yeah, that's so here 2 of my kids are middle and high school, so even if they wanted to be in school and I thought it was okay to send them to school, they wouldn't go but a day a week. And you talk to some younger kids, and
Oh yeah, and they were like, you do not want to be in school right now. It is horrible. I wish I could stay home for every day. So
yeah. So anyways, Colby posted a new video to his YouTube channel, and it was very heartfelt. He was driving to the gym, so he was just getting his thoughts out. And you said you watched it.
yep,
I just thought it was such a nice thing. He was talking about trying to find happiness in all of this pain. And he and his wife went to Disney. I don't know if he said Disneyland or Disney World. I didn't catch that. But this was just in celebration of JJ and Tylee. It was their way to honor them.
yeah,
And I thought that was
thought that was
really,
cool.
really cool.
yep,
Because I'm sure the weight of all this can be overwhelming for Colby. And I'm sure it is, and it has been, and it will be. But he said this was sort of their version of a memorial for the kids. And he said they felt pure joy when they were there.
yeah,
And I think that's just so needed. Fruit Loop and I, she's been with us on our Disney vacations. And when you go there, I don't think there's a whole lot that lingers with you when you're there.
yeah. It's the happiest place on earth.
It really is. Like, I'm dying to go back to Disney.
Yeah,
But it's nice that they were able to go and just leave this stuff at the gate,
yep,
the weight of things, and just celebrate. And he said up until a few weeks ago, he wasn't handling any of this well, which I totally understand.
oh, most definitely.
But one thing that he did say in there was, as a group, and he was referring to Tylee and JJ and himself, he said they went through hell together.
Mm-hmm.
And that that made me really sad to hear. And we know, especially through the custody papers, kind of at least with Tylee, what she was subjected to for years and years. And I'm sure there's just so much more about their upbringing with her before all this that we know they move frequently.
Yeah,
And that in itself is hard. And then you've got mom kind of marrying, divorcing, and there was drama with all of it. Every divorce was a major drama fest. So it's really nice to see that Colby has turned out to be such a seemingly sweet guy, in spite of his childhood.
yeah,
There's 2 ways you can go with that, and it looks like Colby definitely, took the other path.
yep,
And he was talking about he has what he calls a kingdom mindset, which is it allowed him to find a little joy even though the kids are gone, because he knows that one day he'll see them again.
yeah,
And that's really helped him. And then just right in the middle of it, he just kind of wipes his eyes, and his voice cracked, and he said, "I'm always crying, man." Oh, that just tugged my heartstrings, because it was so spontaneous.
Yeah.
It wasn't like there was a build up to it. It just hit him. And he's lost 4 people.
Yeah.
He's lost his mom. He's lost, his siblings, and Charles, who he refers to as his dad.
Yeah.
And the same with Charles's sons. I think they get overlooked sometimes in the grief process because they're dealing with their dad being murdered, and I just can't imagine.
Yeah, they're dealing with their dad being murdered, and nobody's been charged with it. I think that's worse.
Yeah, and then you look at for months. I mean, it was kind of justified according to the police as self-defense. So that has to eat you up when you know your dad and you know this is probably not the case.
Yeah.
So I guess one of the good things that comes out of all this is that now it looks like there'll be justice for Charles.
Yeah.
So we're but I think at the end of the video, he just said right now he's focusing more on their lives than on their death. And I think that's the best place you can be when you're grieving.
Yeah. That's a healing process. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That helps.
Yeah. I mean, we've never dealt with anything like this. And on that scale, 4 people, pretty much his whole family's gone. And so it seems like, his wife is a rock for him and he's got his baby. And he was talking about the strange smells in cars having a kid. And
yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. He said it smells like poop in here, like straight up poop. And it's so true. I mean, I found a chicken nugget one time that was like down in the seat and it was like a science experiment.
Yeah.
Kids are gross. I felt him when he opened that video.
No, there's nothing worse than spilled milk in a car.
Oh, I know.
It's bad.
Oh, yeah. We've done that plenty of times.
Yeah, it's bad. Our 110-pound lab chewed a milk jug full of milk. And yeah.
Yeah, you can't get it. You can't get
No.
it out. It just is disgusting.
Nope.
So then,
I watched some of this one, the 48 hours.
yeah, I watched a little bit of it. I actually more read the summary of the show because at this point for us that follow it so closely, there's not much new
Yeah.
in these shows, but there were a few interviews on there that shed a little bit more light into stuff. And one of the things, they didn't specify who, but they said that friends said that Lori's relationship with her kids shifted after she started reading Chad's books.
Yeah, and I know in the Nancy Grace thing that she started reading those books in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like July of 2014. That's a long time.
It is. And I've always thought that they definitely had to have been, or at least she had to have been pursuing him or reading his books or whatever way before they said the end of 2018.
Yeah. So they said on the Nancy Grace that she started reading in 2014, got obsessed with it. Then they started communicating on websites. So I'm assuming that could possibly be the AVAL stuff, possibly.
I think investigators would probably have a good idea of when they actually started making contact.
Yep.
They can go back and find anything.
Yep.
So, and then April Raymond, her friend from Hawaii, she made a really good point on that. She said that Alex didn't have a reason to kill those kids other than to please Chad and Lori.
That's a good point.
It really is a good point because if you look at pictures pictures don't tell a story, but they seemed comfortable around him. I can't think of a reason other than this made up cult, religion, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, but I thought I've never really looked at it like that. Of what did he have to gain?
Yeah, that's true.
He had everything to lose with his freedom. Had he not died in December, he would be in the pokey right beside Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Yeah.
But I mean, the answers will still come out. I mean,
yeah.
But he got the ultimate punishment, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not one to wish anybody harm, but I straight up hope he suffered a little bit before he went because, gosh, man, you think about what he did.
Yeah.
She also said that Lori, to her, was good with JJ and that JJ could be difficult to take care of sometimes because of the autism. And we both know how that goes.
Yeah.
You have good days and bad days. But, and then Tylee's best friend, I think her name is Visea.
Okay.
She said that Lori was a fan of Chad's writing, and when she met him, it kind of took off from there. So I guess maybe it sort of catapulted her into crazy status or obsessed status.
Yeah. It's like she put him way up here on a high it's almost like people get obsessed with like actors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's really weird, but I guess like if you're comparing somebody like, I don't know, George Clooney, it's easier to reach out and contact somebody like Chad because he's not a celebrity.
Yeah.
So for her, it was probably a lot of it in the beginning was just like, oh my gosh, this amazing author is replying to me on this message board.
Yeah.
And then you start getting a little, getting a little trance, and then it's just that. I'm not saying that, it was all him or all her or whatever, but seems like she probably pursued him first.
Sounds like it.
And then there was a teacher at JJ's school who just couldn't believe the explanation that Lori gave that Charles killed himself, and then they Googled it and learned the truth. But she said that later on, when Lori sent the email saying that they were moving, that the staff thought it made sense, just get a fresh start.
Yeah. She lied to the school. She lied to Colby.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't figure out if they're claiming it was self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it makes you look worse when you lie about how he died.
Well, yeah. I mean, because what you don't it's really simple. It was a news story in Texas. I mean, you can still Google the initial news story where they sum up what Lori and Alex say happened.
Yeah.
So it's like she's not even thinking that she could be easily caught in a lie. I guess maybe they're leaving, and so she doesn't have to answer to anybody. But I just thought it was really unnecessary to say that he committed suicide. That's a very different. It's not even close.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Not even in the ballpark. But the thing that made me think of is that even then they knew that she had lied about his cause of death, but they didn't feel it was a red flag enough to do anything.
Yeah.
So you can see how and this is no disrespect to the staff. You can't know everything, but it just goes to show you how she easily slid from one situation to the other without consequence.
Yeah, because that school, it'll break your heart when you watch that special they were on.
Yeah.
And Sharon, I mean, they truly loved him and have a heart for kids, and
it's different. You and I have both worked in that situation, and you do. It's not just your student. You become kind of an extended member of some of these families, because you talk to them so much, and there's so much communication that has to go on. So then Lori started referring to Tylee as a zombie in the spring of, was it 2000? Oh, I put 2016 here. I don't know. Maybe it was it 2016? I'll have to check that, y'all. I'm sorry. I thought it was 19. I think I put a 6 instead of a 9. But
yeah, it was. I know it was earlier on. So
yeah.
But yeah, I remember that statement or whatever. And we all know, what happens.
Right.
So then, talking a little bit about JJ's teacher, that he was a spitfire and full of energy.
Right. Yeah.
That when he was there, you knew he was there.
Those are the best kind of kids, though.
Oh, I know.
Like my favorite are the loud ones.
Yeah.
Ones that have fun. He was a dancer. They talked about how he loved to dance.
Yeah.
It's so sweet.
Yep. And in the beginning, he was kind of closed off, kind of quiet. But that changed in time there as he opened up and got to know people. Yeah.
And then I saw on one of the Facebook groups that on the anniversary of JJ's death, this person had went to the Dayball property, and 4 of the investigators were there paying their respects. It was Hermosillo, Ball, Stubbs, and I don't know how to say this name, so I'm going to probably butcher it, but it's Consatus.
Yeah.
Consatus.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and she took a picture of them, and they were just out on the road, on the fence line where there are tributes. Maybe the neighbor's fence. I don't know if they've put any more stuff back up on the Daybell fence.
No, I think it's still across the street.
Yeah. But I just thought it was really sweet because they don't need to go to that property.
Yeah.
But that was, I guess, their way of honoring his life on the day he was killed.
Yeah.
we know that their job is so heavy, and
Yeah, you could tell on the stand when they were having to give their statements that
Yeah.
it was emotional for them.
yeah. So kind of moving over to Melanie Pulowski, we know she's had her baby. I think he's been here for a few weeks, and yesterday was the 1 year anniversary of when Melanie told Brandon that she is moving to Utah and he files for divorce.
Wow.
So, yeah, everything's just moving forward now. We're getting out of the 1 year anniversary of everything. And look at Brandon. I mean, he's moved on. He's remarried, and he seems pretty happy, at least in the pictures I've seen. With his new wife is beautiful, and
They have some hearings and stuff coming up, right?
they do. So there was a hearing this week, and you can dial in and listen. Although it's really hard to hear the lawyers, you can hear the judge just fine. So you sort of have to piece together sometimes what's being said. But as of right now, their trial is set for the 18th and the 19th, and the judge doesn't think it's going to work to do it on Zoom. So it'll be in person. And Melanie asked who would be allowed at that trial. I think she's anticipating some media presence. And according to the judge, he said that he wouldn't rule against allowing cameras, which surprised me because this involves minors.
Yeah. There was another one they were in when they allowed cameras in, though.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember the shots of that stuff.
Maybe it's different state to state. I know here in South Carolina, they don't let anything like that in.
Yeah.
It's very protected, even in like a no drama situation. I don't know that you can even just go in and sit in on custody hearings. Who knows?
Yeah.
But so they ordered a behavioral health specialist to evaluate the whole family. This was something I believe that Melanie wanted. And the written report on that is going to be due on November the 9th. They had a concern that maybe there wouldn't be enough time to do it because these things take a while. You have to go meet with each individual member of that's involved in this case. Then you have to sort of analyze those visits and make your report. But they found somebody that said that they can get it done in that time frame. And it sounds like Melanie is trying to get phone visits with her kids.
Wow.
So I didn't know she wasn't even on the phone with them. So it's just been total silence
Yeah, she hadn't seen him at all.
for those kids.
Yeah.
At this point, if I were Brandon, I would almost argue it would be disruptive. If she hadn't have done what she did in the past, as far as the trespass and getting arrested and that sort of thing. But with everything going on, if I were Brandon, I would fight it because these kids probably have the closest thing to a schedule and normalcy that they've had in a year.
Yeah, and don't forget, I mean, there's still charges pending on that.
Right. She's still a person of interest.
Yeah.
And who knows, were they waiting on her to pop the kid out to do something? Maybe they're waiting for this cut. It seems to me like if they had charges, do it before this custody hearing, and then you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
It would make
if
sense.
they're going to charge her and arrest her, I don't know why they would wait till after, but maybe they're not done with their investigation.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I was thinking about Tammy Daybell's autopsy. And, since there's no news, it's kind of like we've all gone back to thinking about things and, maybe this is what's going on. But I was thinking about how if they didn't find a thing at all that would point to this being a homicide, I think they would have said so by now, don't you?
I would think so.
Yeah. I mean, there's too much back and forth speculation. It just leaves it out there to be picked apart. And with them sending it to the attorney general, I mean, they're not going to send it up there for nothing.
Yeah.
So we're just still waiting on all these charges to come through. And then you guys won't be able to get rid of us because we're going to have so much content.
They're going to be like, oh, no.
So you watched the Nancy Grace episode.
I did. And the way they had like a specialist, a cult specialist on there. He really painted the picture that Chad was like controlling and, gave evidence of, or not want to say evidence, but would back up what he thinks, this is what a cult leader does. He would, contact Lori multiple times. This is when she was in jail. And, he said the key to controlling people, what a cult leader does is to isolate them from people who question these beliefs. So we know that happened.
Oh yeah.
He would have seen Charles entirely as a threat. And once Charles is gone and Tylee's gone, like there's nobody there to question.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that popped out in my mind was, I know you remember when Lori goes back to Charles and she makes this statement to, I think it was April, I think that's who it was, that she was going to help him get his finances in order.
Oh yeah.
She had been gone and then came back. Is there communication between Chad and Lori then?
That would be so interesting to know.
Yep. Because, I mean, we know, like we talked about earlier, she started reading Chad's books in 2014. They were contacting each other and talking through websites and stuff. So that'd be interesting to know.
Mm-hmm.
And once Charles is gone, Lori can commit totally to Chad.
Yeah. And isn't that the time that she took the $35,000? I mean, I know when he got back from that trip, she had taken some money, but didn't he get like a settlement or something and she took it all?
Yeah, I think it was something. I don't know if it was exactly that time, but yeah, that did happen.
Mm-hmm.
So you think about it, Chad can control her and dominate her now. There's nobody in that, that can question that, can get in her mind. Because we know eventually she moves to Rexburg. So then that takes out Colby. So he's, in a different state. And there's nobody to question that.
Yeah.
So this was another interesting thing on there. Chad tells Lori Tammy is a zombie. I'd never heard that.
I hadn't heard that either.
Yeah. That Tammy became suspicious and confronted Chad about Lori. And that would have been like the beginning of October. And then a few weeks later, she goes to bed coughing and dies in her sleep. So, and we know she was shot at like on, I want to say the 9th.
I think so, yeah, because it was 10 days later that she died. So it would have been
October 9th, yeah. And police did ask to do an autopsy on Tammy, but Chad denied it. He said no.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad to hear that she confronted him because,
oh, yeah.
I mean, I hope she spoke her piece.
Yep.
But gosh, man. And I know it was kind of said that might have been her fatal mistake, but I think that they probably had planned to kill her whether she confronted him or not.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to get divorced, but what's he going to do? I mean, unless she agreed to another woman, which I don't think Tammy would agree to that.
Yeah.
What's he going to do with her?
Yeah. Well, this special, one of the things they said was Chad, his thoughts were if you didn't believe how he believed, you had to go. And it didn't matter who you were. You had to go, man, woman, child, whoever.
That sounds like every cult leader I've ever read about or watched a documentary about.
Yeah.
If you're not a follower, if you're not all in, you got to go.
Yeah. And we touched a little bit on when Colby called back the day after the cops came, when he called Lori the day before Thanksgiving and, said, what's going on? Why are they here? Where are the kids? And the next day he calls back and the number's disconnected.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
No. And that, yeah, I mean, that had to have been confusing.
But it says a lot.
It really does. I mean, it's literally disconnecting him from her life.
Yeah.
The beep beep on the phone was symbolic, but she did it too.
Yep. They talked about Lori wasn't concerned about the kids because she thought the end was coming, and we know all about that in July. Mm-hmm. And they talked about another way Chad could continue to manipulate Lori was through jail visits, and we know that happened.
Yeah.
Nate came out and said that they had people who knew that he was telling her everybody was supporting you, all this stuff.
The public was supporting her.
Yeah, and we know, I mean, that was just part of him controlling her.
Mm-hmm. It probably is just keeping her on an even keel because she's in jail. Her emotions are probably all over the map. And the last thing he wants is for her to cave.
Oh, exactly.
And say something that would tell the story.
Yeah.
Or at least, give a glimpse into what really happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know. I see him building this whole thing up. in his mind, because he's a writer, and I know I read his autobiography, which you didn't.
I got the Fruit Loop Cliff Note version.
Yeah. But it was like he builds all these things up, and he's a storyteller, so he builds all these things up, and he could manipulate and control, and I think he liked that power.
Oh yeah, it doesn't seem like Chad has ever been a powerful man in his life. He's dumpy and awkward, and I don't see him being, somebody everybody wanted to hang out with or respected.
Yeah.
So you kind of become the boogeyman.
Yeah.
You become scary, I guess. I don't think he was projecting scary, but now he is.
Yeah.
But people like that, I mean, from the time he was killing bees.
120.
120 bees. I mean, there's some serious stuff going on in his noggin.
Yeah.
But I still do think that Lori actively, and I don't think you were saying that it was all Chad.
No.
We know that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So she was sold on it, and she agreed, okay, yeah, my kids have to be murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted, because you said earlier, I'm not saying that when we were talking privately, I didn't want anybody to think you thought that.
No. He's the.
We don't want no hate comments.
No, don't hate me. Yeah, I mean, we know she was messed up before that.
Right.
So this just took it to a whole nother level.
That whole family has been ravaged by mental illness from the time she was a kid.
Yeah.
And, that's why Colby impresses me so much is you can grow up in that, and somebody like Lori never grew out of it and just brought it into her independent life away from her family. But it really seems like Colby has a much better grip on everything in spite of everything that's happened.
Yeah. And I think there's other people in that family too who have risen above that. And
yeah, I mean, you look at her brother, Adam,
Mm-hmm.
and then
his son Zach.
I don't really know enough about Summer, but
yeah, I don't know anything about her either. But
I mean, Melanie's mom, Stacy, had mental illness, and her dad fought so hard to get her out of all of it. And yeah, I wonder if she talks to him now.
I don't know.
I don't think she does. I think I've read maybe she didn't, but somebody told us she didn't. Somebody that knows her.
Yeah,
I think.
I would like to know who they're communicating with in jail.
Me too.
I mean, I know it's their attorneys, but
I would think if anybody, it's maybe some of Chad's kids. I don't know. I mean, because they've been off the radar, and we haven't heard anything from anybody.
And that was one of the cult points that the cult guy on Nancy Grace said was she's been without talking to him, directly to him.
Right.
So would this cause her to realize, oh, wait,
and somebody on one of the Facebook groups, they had a brother-in-law and a sister who were in jail, and one was in jail with Chad, or in the same pod with Chad or whatever, and one was in the same with Lori. And I don't know if it was actually verified, but it seemed pretty legit to me. And she said that Lori just acted very carefree and said that her words were, I think she's checked out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, you can see people try to fake this oblivious mental illness to further their case and for it to be proof that maybe she is mentally ill. I don't trust her. Yeah. It could be an act or whatever. But I mean, I've always kind of said that if a mother kills their kids, they're definitely evil, but you have to have some form of mental illness to be able to take your child's life.
Yeah.
I mean, other people, of course, too, but your kids, it's different.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're even going to go that route, but I mean, yeah, she's sick.
I don't know. So what are those dates again coming up? So the next thing we have is Chad stuff, right?
Yeah, that's going to be on the 29th of this month.
Yep.
We have the two back-to-back. Motion to dismiss, I think, is at 9 a.m. And then 10 a.m. they have scheduled the objection to the joinder. Hoping we get a little bit of a glimpse of some defense. He's going to have to give reasons why. He doesn't want to have these trials joined. So I think that's going to be very interesting to watch and just see how they're going to justify it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, and then on the next one isn't until the end of November. That's on the November 24th, change of venue. And then shortly after on the 8th of December, that pretrial.
Gotcha.
So we got stuff coming up. I'm glad that I've got my house in order.
Yeah.
Because I think in a couple of weeks, once this 29th hearing goes, we'll have enough material for some more frequent podcasts. And then if we have charges drop, we're always waiting for that. That'll be, because once those drop, you're going to have probable cause.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be able to read through how they came to that conclusion that it was murder. And then you're going to have different facts. You're going to have different facts supporting that.
Yeah. And I'm going to have to turn my alerts back on for Idaho News.
I can tell you everything going on in Rexburg, Idaho right now.
Roadblock.
I can tell you what schools are having a COVID outbreak.
Yep.
Yep. I can tell you, oh man, it's funny because every time it comes up, I'm
waiting.
I'm just waiting on like news conference or upgraded charges.
Yeah. We had awesome people reach out to us the last few weeks on social media saying, "Are you guys okay?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't done any comments or like really, I mean, I've tweeted out things every now and then, but there's nothing new.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to put out there. And then I just have not been online at all. I've just been busy and it's been very nice. I was honestly really burnt out with this case when you went on your mission trip. Like that was sort of when I was like, I need a break. Like, I don't want to hear their names. Don't want to see their faces. Now, if we'd have gotten breaking news, I would have jumped right back in. But I do that with every trial I've covered in the past. You just sort of get overloaded at some point.
Yeah.
And so it's been a nice break. I've binged some really good shows that I wouldn't have had time for before. And I just kind of worked on myself and focused on my kids. So it has not been a loss. I've thoroughly enjoyed the last few weeks, except for the decluttering and getting up every 2 hours with a kitten.
Yeah, and we did talk about picking up another case, but we both agreed, like, I don't want to get on that road right now.
Yeah, so I think the last time we did a podcast, we said, yeah, we're going to pick up another case. We're not. Sorry, but we don't get paid to do this. We don't make money off of this, and that's okay. I'm not saying we need to profit, but it's a lot of hours every day, and we just decided that we're both passionate about this case right now, and there's stuff coming up.
Yeah.
So to sort of muddy the waters with another case, I'm just not up to it. And with Christmas coming and all that, maybe at some point, but yeah, sorry, we lied the last podcast.
Yeah. We get enough money just to pay for our website and whatever else.
And my internet, not even enough for my internet bill every month, which is okay. I mean, I love doing this and we love all the people we've met through this. We've met people that I think will be friends with us for a long time.
Yeah, just so cool. Just people involved with the case and just other things. Just so cool.
Right. So for me, it's just I do own a business, and so I'm making calls and stuff again, and not just waiting on orders to roll in on their own. So maybe in the future, or if there's going to be like a year-long gap where we're going from hearing to trial or whatever. Maybe, but yeah, we just decided that this is fun, but we don't want to make it a job.
Yeah.
So
I just like interacting with them too. So
Same.
With all you guys. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Well, good deal.
All right. I guess I got to go cook our dinner.
Yeah. Let's go.
All right.
So you guys have a good evening.
All right. We'll see you soon.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.